Figuring out who can really ball at the highest level isn't simple. It's not just about box score numbers. It's film study, it's physical tools, it's contract value. It's how a guy fits under today's CBA and whether he helps you win when it actually matters. When the Lakers selected him 55th overall in the 2024 draft, it wasn't viewed as just another second-round pick. It became an international headline. Every misstep was magnified. Before long, the narrative had shifted to Bronny James might be the worst player in the NBA. That's a strong claim. So let me slow it down. If I'm going to answer that seriously, I have to separate the player from the last name. No LeBron comparisons, no legacy talk, just basketball. What does he look like physically compared to other guards? What do his numbers actually say through his first 2 seasons? What kind of contract did he sign? And how does that affect the conversation? And most importantly, when you stack him up against the true bottom tier of NBA rotation players, where does he really rank? Because being a late second-round pick fighting for minutes is very different from being the worst player in the league. Before we even talk about the NBA, we've got to rewind to USC because context matters. Bronny's freshman year wasn't just disappointing. It was disrupted in a way most athletes never experience. That summer, he suffered cardiac arrest during workouts. Everything stopped. His development timeline changed overnight. Instead of preparing for a full college season, he was fighting just to get cleared to play again. So when he finally did suit up for USC, he wasn't stepping into a normal freshman situation. Still, once he got on the floor, the production just wasn't there. In 25 games, he averaged 4.8 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 2.1 assists. He shot 36% from the field, under 27% from 3, about 68% from the free throw line. For a 6'2" guard, those numbers are tough. The advanced stats didn't help either. The turnovers piled up, and his plus-minus was near the bottom of his conference. It didn't look like a one-and-done prospect. It looked like a player who would have a career overseas. The contrast from high school wasn't huge, but he did have the athleticism. At Sierra Canyon, he looked okay. Over 14 points a game as a senior, solid across the board, impacting the game defensively. On top of that, his NIL valuation coming into college was reportedly close to $6 million. And here's the reality. In a vacuum, a 6'2" guard with those college numbers never declares early or even thinks about the A. Plenty of players put up better stats and still stay in school to build their case. Some even go undrafted entirely. So when the Lakers took Bronny at 55, we all knew what the F was going on. Not because late second-round picks are guaranteed anything, they're not, but because based purely on production, no one expected to hear his name to be called. The jump from college to the NBA is brutal. It's the biggest skill gap in sports. Faster, stronger, smarter defenders, tighter windows. If you weren't dominating in college, that transition will hit you like a truck. In Bronny's rookie year, it looked exactly like that. Rookie season, reality check. In 2024 to 25, he played 27 games and started once. He averaged just 6.7 minutes a night. The box score numbers were tiny: 2.3 points, 0.7 rebounds, 0.8 assists. Now, that alone isn't shocking. Late second-round picks barely see the floor. That's normal. The problem was efficiency. He shot 31.3% from the field and 28.1% from 3. In another sample stretch, he went 21 for 69 overall and 9 for 34 from deep. His true shooting percentage sat at 42.4%, which is extremely low by NBA standards. That's when the noise got loud. If people weren't talking nepotism or the worst player in the league at the draft, they were definitely talking it now. When you're inefficient in limited minutes and you have that last name, then we on your head. Coming into this season, the Lakers made it clear they weren't giving up on him. What a shock. No nepotism over here. The coaching staff viewed him as a development project, someone with tools they believe could be sharpened. The minutes ticked up slightly. Through 29 games, he averaged 7.3 minutes. The counting stats didn't explode. 2.2 points, 0.6 rebounds, 1.0 assists. I mean, they were still dirt, but there were subtle improvements. His field goal percentage climbed to 35.4%. More interestingly, his three-point percentage jumped over 40% in certain stretches. Now, before we start crowning him, the volume was very low, less than 1 make per game. But still, it's progress, I guess. His free throws improved to 80%. The biggest shift? His true shooting percentage jumped from 42.4% as a rookie to just under 50%. That's still below league average. He's still a net negative by advanced metrics. That part hasn't changed. The bigger issue is rhythm. One night he gets real minutes, like 25 minutes against San Antonio, where he put up 12 points on 5 of 10 shooting with 6 boards and 3 assists. 2 days later, he plays 2 minutes and barely touches the ball. all. That kind of minute fluctuation makes it nearly impossible for a young guard to settle in. Most of his run comes in blowouts, not structured rotation minutes. So instead of developing within the flow of competitive games, he's bouncing between garbage time and not playing. Obviously that matters. When you zoom out, what you actually see is a terrible player. You see a late second round pick with limited minutes, bad rookie efficiency, barely improving in his second year, and wildly inconsistent opportunity. If he's not the worst player in the A, then he's definitely the worst player with a guaranteed contract. Can we all agree on that? Going once, going twice, sold to my awesome subscribers who like this video. Even though the shooting numbers look a little better, the deeper stats tell a tougher story. Because once you get past points per game and field goal percentage, the advanced metrics are basically asking one question. When he's on the floor, does the team get better? The answer is a resounding no. His player efficiency rating sits at 9.6. League average is 15. That puts him firmly in deep bench territory. Not rotation level, not solid role player, deep bench. Then you look at box plus minus. That number estimates how much a player helps or hurts his team per 100 possessions compared to an average NBA player. His BPM is minus 3.4. That means if you swap an average player out for him, you're roughly losing 3 to 4 points per 100 possessions. That's significant. And the big one, his net rating is around minus 19. That means when he's on the court, the Lakers are getting outscored heavily. Now, to be fair, net rating can get weird for guys who mostly play in blowouts. Lineups are random, rotations aren't normal. But even with that context, that number jumps off the page. Imagine giving up 20 points every time you basically step on the court. That shows your impact. So at the NBA level, the impact just hasn't been positive yet. When you look at his G League numbers, he isn't dominating. He's sort of cruising along. With South Bay playing real minutes in a system built to develop him, he's putting up around 15 and 5. He's shooting over 42% from 3 in certain stretches. He looks comfortable, confident, in rhythm. In the G League, he gets to handle the ball. He gets reps. He can play through mistakes. If he turns it over, he's not immediately pulled. In the NBA, his usage rate is low. He's off the ball. He's spacing the floor. He's making split-second decisions against longer, faster, smarter defenders. The margin for error is tiny. Being a primary option in the G League and not dominating means you have no chance in the NBA, in my opinion. What's really driving those negative advanced numbers isn't his last name, and it isn't the headlines. What's driving negative numbers is because he's trash. People asking where's the next Bronny video? What about Bronny? I mean, how many ways can I say he's trash? The nigga is dirt, straight basura, Holmes. While stats tell part of the story, film tells the rest. When you actually watch Bronny play, you start to see why the numbers look the way they do. The physical reality is that he's 6 feet 2 inches, around 210 pounds. In today's NBA, that's small for a guard, especially if you're not an elite scorer. Now, athletically, he's legit. He posted a 40.5-inch vertical at the draft combine. That's explosive. He's strong, built solid, and doesn't get bullied easily. But here's the catch. He doesn't have great length. Hear me out. Someone who can't really shoot, doesn't play make. I'm struggling to find a clean comparison. I guess I'm looking for someone with no abilities. Take Gary Payton II, for example. He's 6 feet 2 inches. He's not much of a shooter and isn't known for playmaking. Yet the difference between him and Bronny is obvious. GP2 clearly belongs in the league and is on a completely different level. So I'm curious, what current or former NBA player do you think most closely matches Bronny's skill set? And in the modern NBA, length is everything on the perimeter. Longer guards can contest shots easier, disrupt passing lanes, finish over rim protectors. At 6 feet 2 inches without elite wingspan, your margin for error shrinks fast. That's why his athleticism doesn't always pop the way you'd expect. A 40-inch vertical sounds crazy, but when you're 6 feet 2 inches and possesses no skill set, it just doesn't hit the same. The biggest concern isn't athleticism, it's aggression. He's too passive offensively. He basically has his father's heart without his build, and I'm not taking a shot at his heart condition. I mean it figuratively. He defers a lot. He'll swing the ball, make the safe read, keep the offense moving, and that's not a bad trait unless you're a 6 foot 2 inch guard in today's league. Modern NBA spacing is built on gravity. If you're that size, you have to scare the defense. You have to force rotations. You have to be a threat off the dribble. Right now, his scoring comes mostly from catch and shoot looks and straight line drives. He doesn't consistently break defenders down in isolation. He doesn't manipulate pick and roll coverages at a high level yet, and he hasn't developed a reliable pull-up mid-range game. For his size, people say he's a strong on-ball defender. They point to his lateral quick quickness, how he navigates screens, how he applies pressure at the point of attack, how hard he competes. But honestly, I just don't see it. When you're sitting at a minus 19 net rating, that raises serious questions. If you're supposed to be a tough, impactful defender and you're still getting outscored by nearly 20 points, how limited do you have to be offensively for that to happen? The problem? Playmaking only becomes dangerous when defenders fear your scoring. If nobody collapses on your drive, the passing windows just aren't the same. And that's where everything stands right now. He's small for his role. He's athletic, but not long. He defends and makes smart reads, but offensively, he doesn't apply enough pressure yet. That's the gap he has to close. The Bronny debate isn't even about basketball anymore. It's about the contract. When I say he's the worst player with a guaranteed deal, I'm not talking about a missed jumper. I'm talking about money, roster spots. I'm talking about how rare his situation actually is for a 55th pick. Historically, the 55th pick signed two-way deals or partially guaranteed contracts. Teams want flexibility. They want low risk. One signed a standard deal with only $75,000 guaranteed. Bronny, 4 years, millions guaranteed. That gap is massive. Now, technically, the contract fits within the rules of the new CBA and the second round exception. There's nothing illegal about it, but giving that level of guarantee to a player drafted 5 picks from the end of the draft, especially one coming in off below average college production, is almost unheard of. And this shows the obvious nepotism. So when I say worst player with a guaranteed contract, I'm really saying, does his production match that level of investment? Now let's answer the bigger question. Is he actually the worst player in the NBA? To do this right, you can't compare him to 10-day guys or two-way players. You compare him to guaranteed contract players getting real minutes. And sure, if you cherry pick the right names, you can find players putting up ugly numbers. Jordan Hawkins is one example. The efficiency has been rough. The advanced stats don't look good. There are nights when the on-court impact is clearly negative. But here's the problem with leaning on that comparison. Hawkins has played real rotation minutes. He's taken real volume. He's been asked to create, to space the floor, to survive in lineups that matter. When you scale responsibility up, inefficiencies get exposed. That context matters. Bronny hasn't carried that burden. He hasn't played enough, produced enough, or impacted enough possessions to even register in the same way. A slightly less bad BPM in a tiny role with minimal offensive responsibility isn't proof of value. It's just a smaller sample with lower expectations. And that's where the argument shifts. This isn't about whether he's statistically dead last in the league. It's about impact relative to opportunity. A 55th pick with modest college production almost always lands on a two-way deal, fighting for a roster spot. Instead, he received a multi-year guaranteed contract, something virtually unheard of for that draft position. When you separate pure box score comparisons from reality, the picture sharpens. Is he the single worst statistical player in the NBA? Probably not. Is he one of the least impactful guaranteed contract players relative to his role, production, and draft slot? That case is much easier to make. The issue isn't that he's putting up historically catastrophic numbers. It's that there's no measurable skill right now, scoring, shooting, playmaking, defense, that projects as even average at the NBA level. He's not bending defenses. He's not anchoring lineups. He's not creating advantages. And he's not producing enough in any area to justify the level of security he's been given. That's the real criticism. He's not just limited, he's historically unprecedented in terms of contract security versus demonstrated NBA ability. And until the production catches up to the investment, that gap is going to define the conversation. Like, subscribe, share, and maybe even hype the video. Let me know if you agree that Bronny is the worst player in the league with the guaranteed contract. Thanks for watching.